All right. First and foremost, I'd like to start this exhortation and lesson off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Ruchach, Wadash. All right, man, that's who this world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew tongue, right? Who this world ignorantly calls God, whose true name is Yahweh, whose name means He is, being my Heavenly Father, right? Then who this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahweh Shai, right? Whose name means He is our Redeemer, He is our Savior, being my Heavenly Father's Son, right? Also, I just start this exhortation and lesson off by giving double honors to the elder apostles across the four corners of this earth who push and uphold and teach this 100% truth, right? Continuing to prophesy the downfall of America, Babylon the Great. Well, no, who continue to prophesy the downfall of Babylon the Great, aka America, right? And we know that 100% truth lies within Great Millstone under Elder Apostle Tahar and on down, right? I also like to give double honors to the elder of the Men of Israel camp, the Khazat, who I also teach under out here in Greenville, South Carolina. Once again, the head of the Men of Israel camp, right? I also like to give a shout out to you, Akim. Akim is brothers in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, right? So I'd like to give a shout out to you, Akim, as well, across the four corners of this earth. That's also out here pushing and teaching this 100% truth day in and day out and making our calling and election sure to the best of our ability, man. So y'all like to say shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, it's the Bot coming back through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah once again with another exhortation and lesson, right? And this one is just truly through the spirit, man. When I woke up, I was watching Elder Apostle Ramlah's video, and it just going through, it had me thinking of, the different trials and everything that Jake been dealing with lately, so Jake been, having to mentally go through a lot of things, different trials, and but still trying to stay afloat and still trying to move accordingly through the spirit, man. And it's been tough, but there's still no excuse, right? But the spirit led me to the book of Ecclesiasticus, right? We're gonna start at the top at chapter 2, right? So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2, from the top. It says, "My son," it says, "if thou come, Salakim, if thou come to serve the Lord, if thou come to serve Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, right, prepare thy soul for temptation," right? So when coming into this walk, coming into this truth, right, we have a job that we have to do. We understand that, we know that, right? We have a job we have to do, and we have to do our job diligently. We have to feed the sheep. We have to, we have to do what we were told to do by our Heavenly Father and His Son, So when it says if thou come to serve Yahweh shall prepare thy soul for temptation, that temptation is not light. That temptation is hard, man. You got it's a lot of things that we get tempted to do fleshly, when we're trying to serve within the spirit, and sometimes that can take a toll, but that's the thing, that's the difference on why, we have to make sure it's like I reference boxing a lot in a lot of my videos. I'm Jake, deals with a little bit of boxing, so it's kind of like when you boxing, right? You got a match, you going 12 rounds, right? When you going and you in that match and you have a good couple rounds, you may win, you may boom, you may win a good couple rounds, but in those other rounds that you start to get beat up on, that's how this walk is. You may have a good boom, good couple months, you rolling, you shooting your jab, whatever, whatnot, right? But when that time comes to where this temptation starts to get back at you and the temptation starts to get stronger, that's when you got to be able to have that endurance and have that strive to continue to know, okay, I know I got a game plan. I need to stick to my game plan, and I need to start getting out of the way of these punches, right? That's the same thing with this temptation, right? This temptation is when it says prepare thy soul for temptation, it meant that. You know what I'm saying? This temptation is nothing light. You get tempted to do a lot of things, as far as now I'm not saying in my case, things of the world, no, but just on a general aspect, you may get tempted with things of the world, women, you may, your old people that you used to hang with, in the world, whatever the case is, that temptation is is nothing light, and we get tempted to do things left and right, and that's why it's a constant fight within the spirit and with the spirit within the flesh and the flesh. It's a constant fight, man. It's a constant battle. It's a constant battle. A constant battle. It's a daily battle, man. But you have to prepare your soul for that. That's why we have to continue to build ourselves up. So we have to continue to build that endurance up, right, for those rounds, right? We got to be able to build your endurance up for those rounds, right? Because if you don't, and in those rounds where you losing, you could get knocked out. This temptation can take you out of this truth. If you fall into these different temptations, it can take you out of this truth, man. It can take you out of this walk. It can take you out of your job. You can ultimately get fired. That's how you can, if you want to look at it like that. That's how you can, man. You can potentially get fired, right? And how would you get fired within this walk? Going back into the world, going back and walking away from the plow, that's ultimately getting fired. Going back into this world, you're getting fired. You got fired from your job. You didn't do your job how you're supposed to do your job, and you're getting fired. Basically, that's what it is, man. But when it says prepare thy soul for temptations, we must do that, man. Because it's going to come time where that temptation is going to come harder than ever, man. This temptation is going to come harder than ever, and you have to be prepared for it. You have to be strong enough within the spirit to understand and know, okay, I'm being tempted right now. I need to pray. I'm being tempted, different things. That's why we have to constantly pray, right? We have to constantly pray, constantly, man. That's the only way we're going to truly be able to win these battles, man. Through the spirit, praying, right? Fasting, right? These are the different ways or the different avenues we must take to be able to, like I say, dodge those temptation punches. When those temptation punches try to get at you, to be able to move out of the way of those, man, we have to be able to do these things, man, because if not, that temptation will take you out, man. It will take you out, man. Let's keep it going, though. It says, let's start back at the top one. I'm going to keep going down. It says, my son, if thou come to serve Yahweh B'Hashem and Hawashah, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright, right? And constantly endure. Now, we ultimately know that heart is not talking about it's talking about your mind, right? Set your mind right. Get your mind right. Get your mind together. Get your mind together. Make sure you on point. Make sure you locked in. That's how we can say it, to bring it into simpler terms, right? Set thy heart aright and constantly endure. That's another thing, man. Enduring. We go through different trials. We go through different tribulations on the daily, man. It's not an easy walk. I've always been told when I first came into this truth, this walk is going to turn you from a young boy into a man. That transition period from coming from a young boy into a man is not easy. We have to endure and go through different things to be built up into a man, to be built up ultimately into a man of the Lord. Not as soon as you come in, you don't just ultimately go to a man of the Lord. No, you have to go through different trials. You have to go through different tribulations, and you have to endure that fight and continue to stand upright. You have to continue to stand and keep your heart upright and continue to move forward through it. Keep your mind locked in and keep your mind on Yahweh B'Shem Shai and continue to walk through that fiery trial, man. So you're enduring all of these things while you also are resenting temptation and getting that out the way. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things that you must be able to do within this walk, man. And sometimes you may fall. But you get back up. You know what I'm saying? What does the scripture say? A wise man falleth 7 times. Let me get that. Let me get that real quick. Salakia. It says, This book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16. It says, "For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again." Right? And that's being the point. We may fall sometimes. We may stumble. But you get back up again, man. Like I say in boxing, we may get hit. Where like I was saying, you may get one round, you may be winning. Then the next round, your opponent can boom, 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 tap you up with a good couple combinations, and they may mess around, hit you with a brick hand. You may fall, you may stumble. It says, but a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. We get back up. You get back up. You keep it pushing. You continue to keep your heart right and moving forward. Enduring through all the trials and tribulations, enduring through all the temptations, enduring through everything, and you keep it going, man. You keep it going. You know? Let me finish this real quick. A just man falleth 7 times and rises up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Oh, the wicked man, when he get hit with that brick hand, boom, he's gonna fall and he's gonna stay down. He's not getting back up. He's gonna fall into those temptations. He's not gonna be able to move and endure through those trials and tribulations. He's gonna fall into mischief, right? Let's get that word mischief real quick. Proverbs 24:16. Let me get that in a blue letter. I can bear me 1 second. Pulling this up. Matter of fact, let me read it in there. Oh, I like this. I'm gonna read this in the NLT real quick. Then I'm gonna get that word mischief. All right, but in the NLT, in Proverbs 24:16, in the NLT, it says, "The godly man trips 7 times, but they will get up again. But one disaster is enough to overthrow the wicked." You see what I'm saying? The wise man, the just man, like I said in the NLT, the godly man, it says the godly may trip, Salakim, but it says the godly may trip 7 times, but will get up again. Right, but the godly is ultimately going into the ones who's truly enduring and who's truly walking within the spirit, within the Rakah Kodash, right, and moving forward. Those ones who are truly striving and serving for Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shah, ultimately being the elect, you know, or the hopeful elect, you know, may fall and get back up. But what it says that, but one disaster is enough to overthrow the wicked. So what? Are you the wicked? Or when you get hit with a good jab or with a good brick hand or or good jab, are you gonna stay down and you gonna be able to just stay down? You're not gonna get back up. You just gonna sit there. You just gonna how they say you just gonna sit in the BS. You know what is it? But you got to be able to endure through these things. That's what the scripture says. Prepare your soul for temptation and constantly endure. Right? Constantly endure, man. Let me get this word mischief real quick. That word mischief goes into bad, it goes into evil, it goes into disagreeable, it goes into unpleasant, unhappiness, sad. It says unkind. That's basically, it says wrong, it says adversity, Salakim. Distress, right? So you get the point. That mischief is going into wicked things, right? Bad, disagreeable, unpleasant, evil. You're falling into these wicked ways, these evil ways. That's what that word mischief is going into, man. That's what that word mischief is going to. It says the wicked shall fall into mischief, or in the NLT, it says, let me go back to it. It says, but one disaster is enough to overthrow the wicked. Right? But let me jump back to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2, right? Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. In the time of trouble, let's get that word. That word haste goes into hurrying up. Hurrying up. Make not haste. Don't in times of trouble, endure it. Constantly endure it. Don't try to hurry up and get up. Don't try to find a shortcut. Don't try to find an easy way out. No. Go through your trials. Go through what you have to go through and endure it. Stand up like a man. Endure it. Walk through it, man. That's what we must do. We must be able to walk through our trials, walk through our tribulations, walk through and be able to be like a what's that X-Men character? Where's is it Magneto or something like that? Where no, it's not I think it was Magneto, where he was nothing could touch him or something. I don't know, it may not even be Magneto, whatever. But how you walking through those things and it's like you're not even letting those things penetrate you. Whoa, you're not even letting them get to you. You know, you're not even letting them touch your skin. You able to walk straight forward and it's like they can't even touch you, right? You're walking at your pace, you're walking at a good, consistent pace, and you're moving forward. You know what I'm saying? That's how you have to be. Don't try to find an easy way out. Don't try to find an escape. Walk through it. Stand up as a man. Put your shoulders up. Put your chest out. Walk through as a man. You know what I'm saying? That's what we must do. Constantly endure. It says, and make not haste in the time of trouble. Let's continue going on. It says, verse 3 says, cleave unto him and depart not away. What is that? Who is that him? Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, man. Cleave unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. That's what debak means. Cleave. Right? It means to cleave. Cleave unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Cleave unto the spirit. Cleave. We got a whole bunch of videos out here. When you're going through those times and those trials, continue to overfeed the spirit. You know, feed the spirit. Watch the videos. Read. Be around like-minded Akim. That all those are different things that feed the spirit. You know, I'm not necessarily saying just sit right there and watch 30 videos. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not sitting right there saying watch 30 chapters in one sitting. I'm not saying that either. You know, I'm saying be able to still have your balance, but be able to still just feed the spirit in those times. I know when I go through a lot of things, I definitely still, you know, watch me a couple videos, read me a couple scriptures, read me a couple chapters. Honestly, and then, you know, sometimes Jake just need to be around the brothers. Jake, you know, hey, we know how it is. You know, sometimes I just need my brothers, man. You know, my brothers help me get through everything. So why would I not want to be around my brothers? So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'll go around the Akim, go around the fold, be around the fold. You know, the scriptures already going. It's good to be around the body, man. It's good for our spirits to be around the body. You know, that's what the body's here for. You know, scriptures go into 2 is better than 1. 2 and 3 is better than 1 being by itself. You know, so when you're going through things, don't hide yourself. Don't try to, you know, stay in a little hole. Get out. Be around the Akim. You know, maybe you know, sometimes I get on the game. You know, and Akim may be on. You know, that just uplifts the spirit sometimes, man. A lot of the times, you know, do those things, man. Constantly endure. It says, and cleave unto him. Cleave unto that spirit. Cleave unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Those are righteous men. You know. Boom. Cleave unto him. It says, and depart not away. Don't depart away. Don't try to go into a shell. Don't try to go, you know, doing whatever. Doing other stuff you already know you shouldn't be doing. You know, because your spirit ultimately is going to tell you if you, whatever you're doing, if you should or should not be doing it. You know what I'm saying? Right? But cleave unto him, depart not away. It says that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Right? It says, whosoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. It's a Salakio. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. Once again, going back into constantly enduring constantly enduring it, preparing yourself for these temptations. Whatever is brought unto you, take it cheerfully. Don't be mad. Don't be complaining. Because what does the scripture say? Yeah, whoever Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai chasteneth, he loveth. Right? So constantly endure that, and take it cheerfully. You know what I'm saying? Take it cheerfully. You know, I'm going through things, man. I'm happy I'm going through something, because that showed me ultimately the Lord is dealing with me first and foremost. Let's talk about it, right? Let me get that. Salakia. Can bear me 1 second. Bible Gashar. Here we go. Bekan, the Wadi Yahweh Shemel Shah. It says this book of Proverbs, chapter 3, right? This is verse 11. It says, "My son, despise not the chastening of Yahweh, neither be weary of his correction." Right? So when it said when in the book of Ecclesiasticus, when it says, "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, despise not the chastening. Be weary of neither be weary of his correction." Whatever is brought unto you, take it cheerfully. Don't be weary. Continue to shine that light. Continue to, don't dim your light, Shine your light, continue to move forward, and continue to move with that, with that good spirit, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. Right? And this is the point that I was getting at, right? Verse 12, Proverbs 3 and 12, it says, "For whom Yahweh loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son, in whom he delighteth," right? So like I was saying, if you're going through things and you're don't be weary of it. Ultimately, you need to know, okay, I'm going through hard times right now. That shows me right then and there that Yahweh Shemel Shah is dealing with me because I'm getting corrected for something, right? Because if Yahweh Shemel Shah wasn't dealing with you, 9 times out of 10 you ain't going through nothing. You having a smooth sailing, and you're gonna be able to coast through whatever, But if you're going through hard times, you dealing with mental battles, physical battles, whatever, even you dealing with hard times. It's tough. Yahweh Shemel Shah is on you, right? Yahweh Shemel Shah is dealing with you. That means you're getting corrected for something. Don't be weary of what you have to go through. Don't be sad and don't be depressed and don't be down for what you have to go through, right? And I'm even speaking to myself sometimes, because sometimes, you have those spirits that try to come and mess with you, that try to come weigh on your mind heavy, to where it tries to get me to go into a shell, and I'm just by myself, because that's how I was in the world. So that once again, here we go. That's a great point. That's how I was in the world. When I was in the world, I just isolate myself. I wouldn't even want to be around nobody. I want to be dolo. You know what I'm saying? And I move by myself. I move however I need to go through by myself. I go through what I go through by myself. And that's what I was saying. It's a constant battle between the flesh and the spirit, right? Because we don't need to do that within this walk. That was me being weary of what I was going through. Nah, not in this truth, not in this walk, because I know what Yahweh Shemel Shah has set for me. I don't need to be weary. I don't need to try to isolate myself. I need to continue to stand up and continue to walk through it as a man. You know what I'm saying? Let me get back to it. Okay, here we go. All right, back to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2, verse 4. It says, "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient. And be patient when thou art changed to a lower state." Be patient. Be patient. Like I was saying, like I said earlier, in verse 2, it says, when it says, "And make not haste in time of trouble." Right here in verse 4, it says, "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state." Be patient. Be patient. What are you rushing for, Jake? What are you trying to hurry up and get out of it for, Jake? Ultimately, you're being tested right now. So ultimately, that means you either need to, the Lord is testing your faith. The Lord could be testing your faith. The Lord could be testing your spirit. Whatever the situation is, whatever the case is, it's different for everybody, right? But when that time hits upon you, don't be trying to rush and get out of it. Sit in it. Sit in it. Stand within the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua and walk patiently through your time. Everybody's down for a moment in time. Everybody is. Everybody is. So continue to go through that and continue to move forward. Continue to walk and stand uprightly as a man of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? Right? What does it say? And be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. It says, for gold is tried in the fire. That's right. We all have to go through the fire to see if we're going to come out on the other end. Salakia, we all are going to be tried. We all are going to be tried as gold is tried in the fire. Right? We are. If you're out here trying to strive through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, these are things we must constantly endure. These are things we must constantly go through. But guess what? You're being tried. You're being tested. You're being put to the test. Are you going to fail your test? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to fail your test? Or are you going to stand and be an upright man of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua and continue to constantly endure? Or are you going to fold when you, what does it say in the book of Proverbs? One disaster, is that going to blow you away like the wicked? Is that going to be enough to stop you? Or are you going to be able to continue to constantly endure, constantly be tried, as gold is tried, Because when that gold is done being in the fire, it's going to come out a refined piece of gold. And that's ultimately what the hopeful elect are trying to be, a refined piece of gold. We must go through our hard tests and trials now within this captivity. So when Yahweh and the angels do return, we're able to, come on, man. We're going to be ready to get up out of here. We're going to be ready to we're striving to hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant. We're going to be able to be, Yahweh Shema Shai. I went through whatever I needed to go through, whatever I was put through. And Yahweh Shema Shai, I'm still standing. I'm still here pushing and prophesying the downfall of this place and prophesying the name of Yahweh Shema Shai. I'm trying to hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant. The ones who can't do that, the ones who fold, the ones who fail are not going to hear those things, man. They're not, their gold is going to be destroyed. That's just it, to bring it into simpler terms, that's how it would be, But it says verse 5, it says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. That's the same thing with us, man. Like I was just saying, acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Going through different things, going through adversity, man, it's not easy. No one said it was going to be. But like I said, this walk is going to take you from a young boy unto a man, unto a fine, polished man. That's not an easy walk. That's not an easy trial. It's not. But you have to be able to be a stand-up man and go through it and endure through it, man. Through the spirit of power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to go through that. Come on. All right, let's see. Yeah, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Big Khan, call all Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua B'Hashem Rakakwadash, man. Right? We're going on verse 6. It says, believe in him. Believe in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, right? It says, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. When we're going through that adversity, when we're going through everything, continue to trust and keep your faith within Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, man. That's what we must do. Keep your trust and keep your faith within Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Let me say it again. Keep your trust and keep your faith within Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, man. Believe in him. Believe in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Be strong within your faith. Man, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, I know I'm going through tough times right now, but my trust and my faith was in you, so I know I'm gonna be all right. I know I'm gonna be okay. I know where my trust lies. I know where my faith lies. Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, I know you got me. That's what I'm striving. That's what I'm striving for. You have to have that trust. You have to have that faith. You have to be able to have that keeping your heart aright. staying focused on Yahweh Shema Shah. You know, through our trials, through our tribulations. These are things we must do. These are things we must do. Believe. Man, Yahweh Shema Shah, yes, it is hard. Yahweh Shema Shah is hard. Brothers is feeling it out here. Let me say that again. Brothers is feeling it out here. But I know where my faith and I know where my trust lies. So I'm going to be patient within what I have to go through, and I'm going to constantly endure, man. You know? Let's keep going on. I'm gonna read verse 6 again, and we're gonna keep going. Believe in him. Believe in Yahweh Shema Shah. And Yahweh Shema Shah will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in Yahweh Shema Shah. Ye that fear Yahweh Shema Shah, wait for his mercy. Wait for his mercy. Wait for the mercy. Ultimately, we want to find that. We want to get our mercy when these fiery trials hit. Or where these intercontinental ballistic missiles start firing off. That's when we want our mercy. Because we're trying to get beamed up out of here. Because that's ultimately mercy. Yahweh Shema Shah is saving us from this ending fire that's going to come. But for right now, we're going to endure. We're going to do what we need to endure. So when that time comes, we're able to get beamed up out of here, man. That's going to be our mercy, man. That's going to be our mercy. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, we'll endure. We're enduring right now. Best believe we're enduring right now. But guess what? Lord, I'll go through this, but I'm gonna keep my trust in you, Yahweh Shema Shah. I'm gonna keep my faith in you, Yahweh Shema Shah. I'm gonna keep believing in you, Yahweh Shema Shah, and I'm not gonna fold. I'm gonna go through all the adversity and all the different trials and all the different temptations. I'm gonna go through all of it right now. So when that time comes, Yahweh Shema Shah, I'm able to be beamed. Yahweh Shema Shah willing, I'm able to be beamed up out of here, man. That's the mercy that we want. We want the mercy from escaping this fire, escaping that hour. That's the mercy we want, man. So we're gonna continue to constantly endure them right now. But when this fire and this all that come on in, when the MOTB and all of that, that's when we want our mercy. That's when we're gonna get that, man. That's the mercy we want to get. That's the mercy we want to get. It says, wait for his mercy and go not aside lest thee fall. Right? It says, ye that fear Yahweh Shema Shah, believe Yahweh Shema Shah, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. It says, ye that fear Yahweh Shema Shah, hope for good. That's right. We're hoping for the better. That's why it says the hopeful elect. That's why we say that, the hopeful elect. The elect the elect is ultimately going to be that 144,000 men, elect men, you know, that get beamed up and get to come back down and get to fight, you know, with Yahweh Shah and the angels, right? But also the part of the elect is the 1/3, ultimately, because we're being saved, because they're being saved, you know. But what does it say? Believe in him and hope for good. Verse 9. So like I almost lost my place. It says, ye that fear Yahweh Shema Shah, hope for good. That is right. We hoping for that good. It says, and for everlasting joy and mercy. For everlasting joy and mercy that's going to come after this fire, man. That's going to come for the ones that was able to endure. That's going to come for the ones that kept their faith and their trust within Yahweh Shema Shah and constantly endured Salakim, through trials and tribulations, and endured through different adversities and fought off that temptation, right? And fought that flesh and spiritual battle daily. Those are gonna be. That's what. Come on, man. That everlasting joy and mercy. Come on. That's what we're going for. That's what we're shooting for. But we must go through this trial now. These different trials and adversities now to get that. Nothing is going to be handed to you. You got to put work in. You got to put work in for this, man. And that's what we're doing. So even when we get changed to a lower state, go through it. Deal with it. Fight. Push. Keep that faith. Keep that trust within your Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Come on. Because we're shooting for that everlasting joy and that everlasting mercy, man. You know what I'm saying? It says, look at the generations of old and see, did Slakim. And look, it says, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in Yahweh Shema Shah was confounded? No. Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? No. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Nobody. So we must continue to call upon that name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And that's another point real quick. And that's another point real quick. I want to take a brief second to go off topic, but on topic. That's exactly why ISUPK, IUIC, and all the rest of you, Deacon and Hassad, what is it, Genesis, whatever y'all want to be called. That's why that name matters. That's exactly why the name matters, man. That's exactly why the name matters. We must, what did it say? Any that called upon him. We're not going to be out here calling upon no Jesus. We're not going to be out here calling upon no God, Yeshua, Yah, what's all the other names that they try to say. Man, no. We must call upon the true name of our Heavenly Father and His Son, being the true name who the word English calls God, being Yahweh, and who the word English calls Jesus Christ, being Yahweh Shai. We must call upon those names, man, and keep our faith and our trust within those names, man. That's exactly why the name matters. You wicked ass, man, I'm not even trying to, excuse me, but y'all some wicked and y'all leading the sheep astray, man. Man, y'all gonna have to pay for that. Nathaniel, y'all gonna have to pay for that, especially IUIC. Y'all gonna have to pay for that, man. Y'all are gonna have to pay. ISUPK, y'all too. Genesis, y'all too. GLCC and the rest of y'all, all of y'all, man, y'all gonna have to pay for despising the names, for trying to say we don't need to call upon the names, man. If y'all are not calling upon Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai, to hell with you. The names matter. The names matter. The names matter. Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai matters. Call upon those names, man. What did it just say at the end of that? Let me read verse 10 again. It says, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and was confounded? No. Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? No. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon his name? Nobody. Nobody. And that's exactly, and that called upon him, right? And called upon his name. We had to call up. If we're calling upon him, we're calling upon those names. We're calling upon those names, man. Yahweh, and which is what Y means. W-A. Y means and. So Yahweh, Y, Yahweh Shai, man. Those names matter, man. They matter. You know what I'm saying? It says, verse 11. Let me see. Now we're gonna keep going on down. Verse 11, it says, for the Lord, for Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins. It says, and saveth in the time of affliction. That's right, man. When this even harsh affliction comes, or this more harsh affliction comes, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to save the ones that trust and keep their faith within Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, going to save within the time of affliction. But we must continue to endure, continue to fight, continue to keep that strong tower, and call upon the names of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Why Yahweh Shai, man. Right? Because what does it say? Verse 12, it says, woe. What does that word woe mean? Let's get that, man. Okay, let me get that in the blue letter. Let me get that word woe in the blue letter. There we go. Let's get that word woe. What does that word woe mean, right? And we went over this time and time again, but let's get it again, right, for edification's sake. That word woe goes in, I lost my place. That word woe goes into destruction. Death and destruction. That's what that word woe means. Death and destruction, man. Go look it up. Let me see. It goes into death and destruction. Once again, like we always have said, that word woe means death and destruction. So Death, it says destruction. It says death and destruction be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth two ways. Death and destruction be upon those men who do that, those that do that. Period. Death and destruction be upon you. Absolutely, man. Death and destruction upon you for that, man. We must be able to stand and move accordingly to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Not to no fearful hearts, not to no faint-handed people, no faint-hearted people. No, we must be able to stand and be men and constantly endure, right? But it says, woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth two ways. Verse 13, woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended. He's not going to be defended, meaning Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua is not going to cover that man, not going to cover that man that doeth that, not going to cover them that doeth that, right? Therefore he not be defended. Verse 14, woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will ye do when Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua shall visit you? You're gonna be in the instance of those 5 virgins who didn't have their oil, and when Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua returneth, you're not gonna be ready. You're gonna be left behind. Therefore, you're gonna get hit with those intercontinental ballistic missiles. So death and destruction unto you for not staying within the spirit, not fighting within the spirit, not continuing to stand within Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua and constantly enduring, not having patience. You must have patience. You must have patience. You must have patience, man. You must have patience, man. Must have patience. You must have patience, man. You have to. If you don't have patience, it's the same thing like I was saying in a boxing match. If you try to rush everything, blah, 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 you're gonna gas yourself out. You ain't had no patience. And boxing, it's not about who can move the fastest. It's not about who can shoot. No. Being patient, boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom. Patience. You gotta be able to choose your punches correctly. Choose the right spots. Choose the right boom. You know what I'm saying? Slip, boom. That's how it goes. You must be able to be patient and be able to move through 12 rounds. That's the same thing during this walk. You have to be able to be patient, continue to endure through the punches that's being thrown at you, and continue to stand up, breathe, shoot your shots back. Boom, boom, shoot your jab, boom. That's how we must be, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Let me see. Matter of fact, we're gonna read it on out, man. Let's go. This verse 15. It says, "They that fear Yahweh Shah will not disobey his words, and and they that love him will keep his ways." That's right. Verse 16. I'm gonna go to read it on out. I lied. Verse 15. Let me read verse 15 one more time. It says, "They that fear Yahweh Shah will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways." That's right. We won't disobey Yahweh Shah. We're going to continue to, no matter what we're going through, no matter what the situation is, we're going to continue to follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our abilities, man. That's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to follow unto the best of our abilities, man. That's what we're going to do. No matter what the situation is, we're going to follow, and we're going to continue to strive, and we're going to continue to stand and be obedient. And we're going to, this says, "And they that love him will keep his ways." That's right. We're going to continue to be obedient through all the trials and tribulations that we have. We're going to be obedient, man. Verse 16 says, they that fear Yahweh Yahushua will seek that which is well, pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with his law, with the law, Salakia. That's right. They that love him, we're going to be filled with the law. We're going to continue to be studying to show ourselves approved. We're going to continue to watch different exhortations and lessons, you know, from the like-minded Akim, from the elder apostles and the like-minded Akim out here. We're going to be doing those things, man. Continue to fill the spirit. Come on. We must do those things, you know. Verse 17 says, they that fear Yahweh Yahushua will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight. That's right. Yahweh Shemel Shah deals with the humble and the meek, man. Yahweh Shemel Shah don't deal with the prideful, the ones that's not humble, the ones that want to pop everything. No, the humble is who Yahweh Shemel Shah deals with. Not the ones who want to pop everything and put on blast. No, man. Deals with the humble, deals with the meek. You know what I'm saying? It says, will humble their souls in his sight, saying, we will fall into the hands of Yahweh Shah, and not into the hands of men. For as his majesty is, so is his mercy, man. And that's right. That's right, man. We must continue to stand and continue to endure within Yahweh Shema Shah. That's what we must do. Continue to fight this long fight. Continue to fight against trials and tribulations and continue to be patient. That's what we must do. Day in and day out. That's what we must do. It's a constant battle. Constant battle. It's a daily battle. Salakim. It's a daily battle, man. It's a daily battle. But the ones who are truly standing and keeping their faith within Yahweh Shema Shah is going to continue to endure. That's why it says constantly endure. Constantly endure. Constantly endure, man. Constantly endure through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. That's what we must do. We must do that, man. Daily. You know? But with that being said, Abba Yahweh Shema Shah, I pray this exhortation and lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. But with that, man, I'm going to go ahead and end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto no one other than Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rechak, Kodash, Awad, Baba, Bal. Destruction, Salakim, destruction to the wicked, man. Destruction to the wicked. With that, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. I'll be back with the next one. Shalom.